Hey guys, and welcome to a showdown between the Empire up against the Empire. But of course, we're going to be taking charge of the Golden Order, the one true Empire, up against Billy and his false Empire forces here on Hammer. And we're going to be showcasing a pretty special unit, which I think doesn't get anywhere near enough praise and is considered a bit of a meme, and I think it's actually got a bit of a deadly output. But anyway, before we get to that point, we'll go through the rest of my build. So, for the infantry line, we have a very small line of spearmen as well as some swordsmen here over on the left, as well as some spearmen who are going to be backing up a Hellstorm rocket battery, the Sunmaker to be exact, which overall I think is always worth taking as a kind of upgrade on the regular Hellstorm because it's a little bit more accurate. And as you probably know, Hellstorm is horribly inaccurate, so any little bit of extra accuracy does certainly help. For the rest of our build, we do have a Reiksguard as well as Knights of the Blazing Sun, who are going to have a very busy job trying to protect my rather flimsy line and kind of my more damage dealers. And they come in the forms of the Black Lions, and this is the Regiment of Renowned unit I wanted to talk about a little bit. So it's a Regiment of Renowned War Wagon. It comes with Hell Blaster volley guns on the back and has a crazy amount of damage output. However, it is relatively short range, but because of the War Wagons, you can get them into some pretty good positions. We'll have to see how they do indeed perform here today. We have a basic unit of War Wagons as well. These guys still a bit memeish, but have certainly been improved. They have much more armor piercing than they used to have. As you can see, armor piercing missile damage 25 means they can take down some of those elite cavalry and the like very quickly. We also have triple outriders with grenade launchers who can do some massive burst damage. Up in the skies, we do have the mighty Balthazar Gelt, and he's just a bit of a fun pick here, and I think he suits the build relatively well, however. Staff of Valanis, Arcane Conduit, Final Transmutation, Plague of Rust, and Searing Doom. Now, I didn't actually know I was going to be up against Empire. I think my opponent switched factions relatively late and I wasn't paying attention, so my build isn't designed to take them on, but I think it can do a pretty decent job. As for my opponent, he does have a double free company militia pushing forward, as well as some huntsmen to help give them a little bit of cover. For the main battle line, it looks like we have spearmen and flagellants, the naked lunatics of Sigma, who have zero armor, but unbreakable frenzy, can certainly tear through state troops relatively effectively. We have some more spearmen, and over on the left-hand side we have Knights of the Blazing Sun, escorting a Bright Wizard who has Flaming Sword of Ruin, Cascading Fire Cloak, and Burning Head, looking really badass. They're actually leading the charge of the Flaming Lancing Knights of the Blazing Sun. We also have a War Wagon for my opponent as well, and the ultimate War Wagon, which is Volkmar the Grim here on his mighty Pimp Wagon, coming in with all of his buffs, of course, Grand Soul Fire, Grand Shield of Faith, and Grand Hammer of Sigma. We have Banishment and Jade Griffin as well, and then more Knights of the Blazing Sun, including some Demigryph Knights with Halberds over on the other flank. So, should be a very interesting game as these two different Sons of Sigma come together to go at it. Outriders going to unleash some shots into the Free Company militia, just deleting them from the field in a matter of seconds, which is always good to see. Before pulling back, we don't want to take too much damage from these huntsmen, and the Demigryph Knights are lurking as well as the Knights of the Blazing Sun. So, trying to focus down the Demigryphs where possible. The War Wagons are approaching, and the Black Lions have already killed two of them as well. Doing some pretty decent damage, trying to fend these guys off as they do float through the fire and the flames there. Taking some rear shots now as well. We've done some pretty good damage. Burning Head does go down by my opponent, but luckily we dodge it at the very last second, as Knights of the Blazing Sun do go up against more Knights of the Blazing Sun. And it was a bad engagement for us, so we're going to peel over some Reiksguard, turn around to engage once more, and pop a Plague of Rust to try and overthrow these false pretenders of Knights. Hellstorm Rocket Battery is now firing into the main infantry core of my opponent's build, but a nice banishment does go down, going to be punching some of my grenade launchers and forcing them back, and the War Wagons are now going to have to take a couple of charges. The Demigryph Knights were nearly broken off by the consistent firepower of the Black Lions, but they are going to get the charge. War Wagons overall aren't terrible, 90 armor and the likes. We're actually going to hold for a little while and allow Spearmen and Outriders to do the damage, and allow the Demigryphs to kind of just flop up against the War Wagons. It's a bit of a calculated risk, because as long as none of the War Wagons go down, we still have the same damage output, so HP isn't too much of an issue. Looks like more Knights of the Blazing Sun are going to try to get back onto the Sunmaker. We're going to be pushing forward with some Spearmen and intercepting with some Swordsmen as well. Volkmar's driving through that central pocket, and there's not too much to resist my opponent's build here, as it does dance through. Knights of the Blazing Sun having to throw their lives on the line, as Outriders continue to hail in a grenade after grenade, doing pretty decent damage all round. Demigryph Knights were forced off by a combination of Spearmen and the mighty Balthasar Gelt, getting his hands dirty here on the ground, charging in and driving off these false knights of the Empire there. And Balthasar Gelt can simply now float back up into the sky, come back and do some pretty good damage in the game, I suppose, with his spells. Knights of Blazing Sun are going to retreat, as we did manage to saturate some Spearmen on top of them, and although they are going to float back to try and deal with this Bright Wizard, it seems, Outriders are now deleting Free Company Militia, which is all good. The Huntsmen, however, are doing some lovely damage back. Another Burning Head does come in, well placed by my opponent, but I luckily managed to spot it and dodge just in time. The Black Lines do roar once more, trying to focus down Volkmar the Grim, it would seem, and Balthasar Gelt is a full health here and looking rather happy-chappy. Outriders have charged into combat to try and run over the Huntsmen, but my opponent kind of chucked everything at them, so we are going to have to pull back, and we've actually been terrified away by Volkmar, which is some pretty scary stuff. But all this time, the Black Lions are going to continue to do more and more damage to him. It's going to slowly build up over time, and each volley is picking away at him, doing some pretty decent damage all round. Spearmen holding the line as well, as it looks like some big explosions do come in from the Outriders. We're going to drop an Overcast Plague of Rust, so minus 60 armor on Volkmar, which should really allow us to do some massive damage. Even the Geltmeister is going to dart in at this moment, trying to keep my other units as free as possible. But Gelt's going to take quite a bit of damage. He's not really built for combat, as you might suspect. Although Volkmar is just taking huge work here. The Final Transmutation is popped as well. Black Lions popping shot after shot from point blank range into him at that minus 60 armor is going to allow us to do some pretty good work, but Balthasar Gelt has been forced off. Volkmar's Tash is forcing him off here. Cascading Firecloak as well is going to be helping him out a little bit. Balthasar Gelt is incredibly fast, but he should be able to rally before anything too disastrous does indeed happen. In the distance, looks like the Sunmaker is pretty much spent at this point. 188 kills, though, is certainly no joke, and Spearmen are going to be allowed to now come on top and also finish the Knights of the Blazing Sun. So it's not the worst situation all round, and finally my Knights do come in and to help finishing off these fake Knights of the Blazing Sun, and that's been a duel throughout as well, kind of a little subplot between the two holy factions there. War Wagons are now shooting into the back of some Spearmen, just trying to break them down. Got some decent ammunition left as well. Probably going to want to focus down that Bright Wizard if possible. Grenade launchers have been shot into Volkmar as well. They actually do surprisingly decent damage, even against heavily armoured foes, especially with a Plague of Rust popular and his armour to meager 70. And Geltmeister's contemplating diving in once more, but I remember what happened last time, so I'm going to, for the most part, be a kind of lurking on the edges of the battlefield, which is a better way to go. Banishment does come down, but we managed to move the arrows out the way, and the Black Lions aren't too scared by such fake trickery, and going to be launching more shots into Volkmar the Grim, who's been forced back here, very low health-wise. As we can see, a couple more volleys will be poking in here, and he's trying to fight strong. He's got that little War Priest on the back as well, smiting any man of the Empire who does dare come close enough, but another hail of bullets does come in, and down the mighty Volkmar goes. It was just about as a perfect timing as well. As you can see, my forces are pretty much shattered and running for the trees. We have some nice skirmishes over in the distance who can still do some great damage. But apart from that, most of my army is gone. It's a very close fight all round in the end, but it looks like with the death of Volkmar, army losses does set in, and is a Pyrrhic victory for the Golden Order, the one true Empire, I suppose, Empire of the Empire. Anyway, Pyrrhic victory. Very well played to my opponent Billy there, coming in with a pretty cool build. I like the Demigryph inclusion as well as the War Wagons, and an interesting selection of troops for the front line, coming in with those Free Company Militia. Unfortunately, kind of got punished here a little bit by the Outriders and the Sunmaker. And all round, it was a pretty fun display. Balthasar Gelt obviously isn't the most competitive lord, but he can bring some pretty cool tools to the battlefield. Obviously, Plague of Rust and Final Transmutation being the two standouts. Now this build obviously relies very heavily on its cavalry to help protect the sheer amount of kind of range firepower we have here. Outriders did a pretty decent job as well, 50, 60 and 48 kills, especially early on. Managed to just shred some units, which, as you can see, got no value. You know, 0 kills, 2 kills, 1 kill, because we just managed to shoot them down so early on. So really good work all round by them, as well as the Sunmaker. 188 kills, a real standout, and probably MVP, just for the sheer amount of damage it did. But the Black Lions able to take a charge from Demigryphs. 32 kills doesn't sound amazing, but considering it was mainly focusing down Knights, expensive Demigryphs, and Volkmar the Grim, it did some really good damage throughout, and I think think it's one of those units which needs to be taken a tiny bit more seriously. But, you know, that's just my opinion. Anyway guys, hope you did enjoy. If you did, feel free to give the video a big old thumbs up and subscribe for more Total War Warhammer content. And if you want to support the channel in any way or send in replays to me, down below you'll find some links in the description to kind of Patreon and all that kind of good stuff, as well as my Discord where you can submit replays, chill out with a load of cool guys, and just, yeah, have a good time. So anyway guys, till next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.